The Golden Knights take game number 1 over Edmonton, despite giving up 4 goals to the Oilers. Leon Draisaitl scores 4, and for the Golden Knights, it was all about the response in the 6-4 opening game win.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick. We come to you from Las Vegas each and every day. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. You could find us on Twitter at Lockdown VGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, and of course, the YouTube channel, Lockdown Golden Knights. Please subscribe there. So, Chris, I mean, game number 1 really did live up to its expectations last night. 2 high-powered offenses. 10 total goals. I had the goal number right at least last night. 2 Oilers power plays, 1 power play for the VGK. Draisaitl and his performance of 4 goals. The Golden Knights win that game based on their response. Whenever Edmonton scored, there was a push by VGK. This was reminiscent, I think, to season 1, and you hate to make those comparisons, but that's the way this team had played back in the inaugural season in the playoffs. So, Draisaitl scores the first goal, and then we have Barbashev scoring like 40 seconds later, then Amadio and Stone, and then Draisaitl makes it 3-2 at the end of the first. No goals, surprisingly, in the second. And then Draisaitl scores again in the third. A minute, 1 later, you have Barbashev, you have Stevenson. Let's first of all pick things up here when we discuss this game about the VGK response, which I thought really gave them the victory in game number 1.
You mentioned season 1, right? I'll go a step deeper, and I put this on Twitter at some point in my Twitter
career.
I can't think of a word to use.
Career.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was firing last night. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals against the Caps. I think VGK won that game 7-5, 7-4, something like that. Just kind of a weird, ugly at times, but also a good game where VGK seemed to always have a response. Same thing here. I guess it's a bad omen to score 4 goals in the playoffs, right? Because Joe Pavelski just did it on what day is today?
Days ago.
Today's Thursday, so Wednesday. So Tuesday night, Pavelski gets a 4 spot, no good. Draisaitl gets a 4 spot, no good. So I'd be curious if that's ever happened before, where in back-to-back days, if someone scored 4 goals and both teams have lost, we can look at that another time. Very interesting, very fun. Shout out to you Oiler fans. Like I said, Oiler fans were a lot of fun last night. Didn't see any issues. Chris just dove into one picture, I guess, on his own. I didn't even say anything. So
the welcoming
right away,
committee,
folks,
I love it. The welcoming committee.
He literally just like we're there watching. I took a picture of him just, as I was taking it all in before he went inside. He just goes and walks and stands right there and smiles. And they like urged him in when he walked in there. They put him right in the middle. They were high-fiving and stuff. So, it was a lot of fun last night. The Oilers fans inside the arena were great. So it's going to be a fun series. And I'm curious to see, you mentioned responses, Tony. I'm curious to see what the Edmonton response will be game 2, which feels like it's about a month down the road right now.
We could just throw out game number 1 because Edmonton has lost the first game of a series, the last 7 series. Pretty incredible, that statistic. The big play at the end of the game, Jack Eichel, who's been in the spotlight all week, he and Connor McDavid from the 2015 draft, he comes up and he steals the puck. Eichel does from McDavid and fires in. I measured it, 168.5 foot empty net goal.
I think State on Radio called it 175, Tony. So I'll take your number right there.
Yeah, I measured it there. No, I just
no. I mean, listen, there's going to be the storyline.
That was the reward for aces playing defense for once.
And he did play good defense. He had some good opportunities on the other side of the ice, but he definitely was playing very good defense. That was not the only time where he'd pick someone's pocket. I don't know if he did it to McDavid, but he played very good defensive hockey yesterday. And speaking of defensive hockey, I think Braden McNabb and Zach Whitecloud had remarkable games on the defensive side. They were poking that puck away from McDavid, and VGK in general did the right thing. So McDavid can go past 5 people when he's got that full head of steam. And also when he's the first one across the blue line with that type of speed, he's not passing. And that's not because he's, a puck hog or anything like that. There's no one else with him. Like we talk about Jack Eichel, and you mentioned it on the crossover with Edmonton about, people not being ready to take that pass from him and stuff. If Draisaitl's not on the rush with McDavid, then McDavid's going to do it by himself. And all 5 VGK players, they just kept him right in the middle of the ice. They collapsed on him. And one time he did get through. I think it was with like less than 10 minutes left in the third. That was very scary. But otherwise, they did a really good job neutralizing McDavid. There was some good separation. William Karlsson even created some space against them. I think it was in the second period, if I'm not mistaken. Karlsson was behind the net and he hit the brakes, and McDavid kept going. I'm not going to say he broke his ankles or anything like that, but Karlsson definitely found a way to, it just shows you that they're human, right? It shows you that, well, maybe not Leon Draisaitl, but Connor McDavid.
You talked a little bit about the defense. Let's dive in there, because Coach Cassidy said that this team had defensive success, except for Draisaitl. And when he got to talking about Draisaitl, he goes, "Yeah, when he scored his 11th goal." His 11th goal. Are you kidding me? He scored 11th goal. We're just into the first game of the second series.
That was a good moment. I was listening to that on State Run Radio.
Oh, it was funny watching it. Yeah, it was great. But VGK defense at one point, at one juncture in the first period, held the Oilers 13 minutes without a shot even. And I liked it. The one thing that I really did like, and Cassidy said, "Hey, especially on the power play, make sure that you clear the puck." I really did want to count the number of times that VGK cleared the puck out of their zone, not just on the power play, but did you notice whenever the Oilers had the puck for too long of a period of time in the offensive zone, VGK said, "Enough of this nonsense," and they cleared it out. And I thought that was brilliant hockey and great coaching by Bruce Cassidy.
It's hard to marvel about a strong defensive effort when a team gives up 4 goals.
Right.
But that was a good defensive effort. It wasn't great. It wasn't VGK has room to grow. Maybe we'll talk about that in the third segment, but it was good. And VGK will get better. You look at the Winnipeg Jets series, VGK improved steadily throughout the series from game 1 all the way to the elimination game 5. So there's a lot to like about this game. I thought, I'm sure we're going to hit this at some point. LB Brossoit, unfortunately, he had a good game, but that one goal, I literally looked at Kevin and Christie. I said, let's just not give up a goal in the end here in the last 20 seconds of the first. And like, I saw the play in slow motion all the way from my seats way in the top of 217. I saw in slow motion when Draisaitl hit that puck up in the air. I said, oh my God. But you, Tony, you wanted to put that one on Alec Martinez. And I think if we're going to leave this in the court of public opinion, you lost. I think it was 9-1 Golic on that one.
No. I'm not putting the entire thing on him, but he was hung out to dry, and he should have closed a little space.
He's below the red line. He's not supposed to go get the player. You're not supposed to go get him.
I would not even allow that pass to happen. Hey,
it wasn't a pass. It was a shot.
No, well, we thought it would have been a pass, right? Again, Draisaitl, when he has the puck, you got to blitz the guy. I'm sorry. Okay.
I mean, that's for what you're saying and the way the game turned out. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Edmonton's blunders, 2 big ones, 2 really big ones. The line change when they were down 4-3, that was absurd.
I was the first person in the stadium to call it. I was yelling, "There's 6 on the ice" before the linesman even caught it. I caught that immediately.
I'm not talking about the too many men. I'm talking the score is 4-3. Pietrangelo possessing the puck.
Yep.
Okay, so VGK has the puck, and they start the line change. That's why they gave up the goal. And then suddenly Pietrangelo goes, "Holy smokes!" They're in the middle of a change. I think he gets the puck to Howden, and then to Stone, and then to Stevenson, who cashes it in, and suddenly it's 5-3. That was a mess. And then the other blunder's the one that you're talking about.
Right.
A lot of confusion. Too many men on the ice with about a minute to go in the game. And again, that was really tough and they could not get Skinner off the ice.
No, and Skinner couldn't get off the ice cleanly, take that a step farther. And then obviously the Jackie Aces, and that's where, I mean, we'll hit more on the coaching side of this when we get in segment 3, but that's where I always say, guys, let's start with the coach, let's start with the goaltending, and then let's build our prediction out from there. Jay Woodcroft or Bruce Cassidy? Bruce Cassidy all day for experience, accolades, and everything. Brossoit or Skinner? Brossoit isn't, necessarily on a pedestal over Skinner, but he's certainly, there is a noticeable difference in the skill department. And then maybe start with the defense in the bottom 6, right? VGK defense or the Edmonton defense. That's a no-brainer. VGK bottom 6 or Edmonton bottom 6. Let's see. How many goals did the bottom 6 score for Edmonton? Okay, 0. Look at what our bottom 6 did. Now, we got a strange bottom 6 with Mark Stone and Stevenson down there, but that's okay. I'm okay with that.
But we said it could be the difference maker, and it was. In game number 1, Desharnais for Edmonton had a miserable game.
Dude.
He had a miserable game, though.
I know. He can't keep with the speed.
Gave up the first goal to Barbashev, and then he left Stone all alone right there on the doorstep for the deflection. And he had a really bad game for Edmonton. And the goalies, let's talk about goalies here. They were not the best last night, obviously. And we didn't think that the goalies would be standing up. We expected a high-scoring series from the jump.
Yeah, so going back here, I'm trying to find the tweet. Okay, yeah, so Mark Spector, I put this out there, guys. Mark Spector might be the best follow to get a real good in-depth analysis. And shout out to our friends, of course, Locked On Edmonton Oilers. But Mark Spector, he's in the seats every night, and he's been around this team for a very long time. This game was being played at a pace that I'm not sure Desharnais can handle. Have to wonder if the series basically will be as well. So, I was watching the warm-ups. We had to go down, of course, and there you go. Just for Rita, give McDavid his respect and watch him up close, Rita, because we love Connor McDavid. So there you go, Rita. If you're listening, I know it's going to drive you nuts and some of the other people, but that's okay. And then also we see Desharnais skate, and when you're standing behind the glass right there, you're about a foot up already with the way the bleachers or whatever the seats are down there, and I'm pretty tall, like 6'1", 6'2", depending on, my spine and the liquid in my spine and the timing of the day. And
if you're wearing your platform, when you wear your platform shoes.
Oh yeah. When I wear my Gene Simmons shoes, I'm 6'6".
Okay.
But I see Desharnais, I'm like, oh my God. And, you just think about these guys coming at you at, 15, 18, 20 miles an hour, just trying to lay you out. And that's a big dude, but this also isn't 1994. It's not 1987, where he might have been a lot more successful in his role.
Coming up next, Mark Stone, a marked man again, but this time Edmonton goes after his back. Wow. We'll discuss that. Was it a witch hunt? Was it dirty? We'll discuss that next when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. If you are looking for a delicious snack, but you don't want all the sugar and calories, then you got to need the best tasting protein bar ever that's built, and you really do have to try it. And if you're like me and Chris, you want to eat healthier, your snack choices need to be good, but you don't want to compromise the taste. Well, we've got the right thing for you. It's Built Bars and Built Puffs. Built Bars are amazing. They're healthy. They taste really good. And you definitely want to try a Built Bar. You got to try this. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, covered in 100% real chocolate, and the flavors are unbelievable, like churro, peanut butter brownie, and cookies and cream. We're not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining all those amazing, incredible macros. It's even better. They are very healthy, only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't need to wait to get a box. That's right. You don't have to just go on the website at built.com, because you can go right down the street to your local Walmart or your local Sam's Club, and you can still get your specialty flavors if you need them at built.com. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today. Go to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars, and you can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, a double chocolate bar or coconut puff. And if you're close to Sam's Club, run in, grab a 13-bar box with the hit flavors, brownie batter puff and churro puff. Again, if you can't find what you're looking for in a Walmart or a Sam's Club, then you can always go to Built.com. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights, Golden Oilers. Yeah, no. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas, and we appreciate you making us your first listen. And don't forget, tomorrow, coming up on the show, a very special WTF. And Chris, just a little teaser, a quick little teaser. You have a teaser for WTF or what the Friday tomorrow?
Something pissed me off. I forgot what it was though. Oh, yeah.
Podcast. You imbecile.
Yeah, this is good. So
they called you an imbecile. See, that's not how you podcast, folks. They called him an imbecile.
It's fair. No, my buddy, I won't
they
give
don't
the whole
even call
story.
me an imbecile when I pick against VGK.
That's fair. My buddy Chris Condos, shout out to him. He's driving and he's listening to a bowling podcast. Yes, we're bowling nerds, and so be it. And a random bowling podcast, and all of a sudden, here it comes. And now we have our imbecile of the week, Chris Golick. That's all you get, folks. If you follow our Twitter, it's on there yesterday. We'll talk more about it yesterday or tomorrow. But here's our imbecile of the week, Chris Golick, on a random bowling podcast that has like 4 followers, but still, it's
very random. Okay, so we saw Tuesday's video of Mark Stone laboring off the ice and going to the locker room. He's not hurt at all. He's not hurt. So he's had he
was skating stiff yesterday.
Oh,
he was skating stiff yesterday.
So on the goal that he scored, I don't know if you noticed it.
Oh, he got crushed
back, and he held his back, and then he moved forward and went right in the slot, and then finished the play. It was insane because his back is hurting, folks. And the team could say it's not. The home fanboy media could say nothing about a back injury. He's hurt. His back is injured. And make no mistake, but Edmonton targeted the VGK captain, and they did so by cross-checking him repeatedly. They really did a number on him. Sportsnet has a video out there where they showed just a sequence in the first period alone of what they were doing and how they were hitting him. And I thought, that it could have been a little bit dirty, but hey, it's all a fair game, right? If you're going to hit someone in the back, though, Edmonton, go a little bit lower down near the bottom part, because that would really kind of mess things up.
They did.
We saw that deflection off the Riley Smith shot. And I'll tell you one thing, he can't be feeling too great today, Mark Stone.
I mean, listen, VGK fans, Vegas, Edmonton, everyone's mad about the schedule change, but it's going to turn out to help Vegas just for Mark Stone and give him that extra 24 hours to get better. So I was looking for a quote.
And Evander Kane could probably go out and get another marker.
Jeez. I was looking through a quote. So Stu Grimson, old school enforcer, Anaheim, Chicago, amongst many of his many places he's been. And I actually found a funny quote, first of all, that just want to read this. So Stu Grimson always kept a photo of himself in his locker room stall. And someone asked him why, and his response, that's so when I forget how to spell my name, I can still find my expletive clothes. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I did see a video with Stu Grimson talking about his role as an enforcer. And basically his quote was, if you keep going after my guy, my best guy, I'm not going to go after you. I'm going to go after your best guy. And that is the way you handle this situation. So Mark Stone, and this is playoff hockey. He's got a target on him, and that's just how it's going to go. And he's our best. He's our leader. He's our heart and soul of the team, so to speak. And he had a very good game last night. Winnipeg was going after him too pretty hard. Edmonton seems to have taken it to another level. But honestly, the way you fight fire with fire. Anytime McDavid is. I mean, now McDavid's a little harder to catch than Mark Stone, but I thought there was a few times where McDavid was around the goal. Hit him. Do the exact same thing that they're doing to Mark Stone or Draisaitl. You get that stick right in their back, get it right in their rib. I'm not saying go out there and spear the guy, but go out there and spear the guy. Hit him the same exact way they are hitting Mark Stone. And eventually McDavid is going to wear down a little bit. Eventually Draisaitl is going to wear down a little bit. They're just as human as Mark Stone is, maybe not as much wear and tear on the body. But if you start doing that, at least you're going to possibly slow them down a little bit. Give them that face wash when they go anywhere near the goalie. I would love to see a much more I'm trying to think the best word to use, just fight fire with fire and absolutely start pummeling McDavid and Draisaitl after the whistle. No difference, and even during play, no different than what's happening to Mark Stone. They'll start leaving Mark Stone alone, guys. They will slow down on Mark Stone if Draisaitl and McDavid are getting clobbered out there.
Stone will not make it through this entire series if it goes 6 at this pace. There's no way. I mean,
if they don't slow down what's happening, I agree with that. I mean, listen, if there's bumps and bruises, we'll get through that. But there's a tender spot somewhere back there. Maybe a bigger tender spot on Mark Stone's back versus other players, but there's definitely a tender spot back there. And if they find that, oh God, if they find that, they'll go after that even harder. Okay. And it's like just crazy thinking about there's people literally in the locker room saying, go out there and beat the poop emoji out of the guy.
Well, I mean, this is playoff hockey, right? And we've seen this before.
It's the ugly side of it, but it is playoff hockey.
Right. And is it dirty? Yes.
Yep.
But is it within the parameters of the rules? Yes, It is. And, we knew he was going to get checked hard. I thought that Kane might try to butcher him a little bit. But
Kane had actually had a decent game around the goal. Kane looked okay last night.
I know. He just played hockey. He didn't do any roughhousing, which we'll see in the second game.
It's coming.
And I felt, when you talk about, these goons and enforcers, I just feel that someone forget about taking out their guy, but go after whoever is checking and cross-checking Mark Stone. That's what
There's 18 people doing it. And when they go up to Edmonton, you're going to see the beer vendors doing it too. So
but
that's why I said
if there's one big play where they're hitting him hard, just make a statement and make sure that doesn't continue. You have to.
Yeah, but Nick Hague tried to do that. Nick Hague tried to do that. Mark Stone was the person who was getting roughed a little bit in front of the goal, and Nick Hague, like a clown, call it what it is, skates all the way from the blue line to give one single shove and then skates away, which brings the face-off from the low side, an offensive zone VGK faceoff, to the neutral zone. You can't give up stuff like that. So that's why I'll double down on my statement on you start hitting McDavid. You start hitting Draisaitl the exact same way. And eventually the message will get sent just like that. The message will get sent. Or if the message doesn't get sent, we're going to slow down. If we're going to take a little bit of energy away from the two most lethal scorers in the NHL right now.
Okay. Something that was weak AF, the 3 stars. This was just
I saw
awful.
that, Tony. I thought you were going to save that too, but yeah.
No, I melted down because Barbashev was the top star. Again, 2 goals, played very well last night. Stevenson, the 2nd star. Stone, the 3rd star. Hey, come on, homers, man. That's not cool. It's just not cool. Like, it's just stupid to leave Draisaitl with a 4-goal game out of your top 3 stars. It's just stupid and shenanigans. And
even give him the 3rd just to get him out there, at least to acknowledge it.
Yeah, you've got to do something. That's just, I think that's low budget. Matthias Janmark. Matthias Janmark. So our good friend,
how did he go down? Was he hit or did he just lose an edge? What happened on that?
He lost an edge. He lost an edge. First, there was a little contact, and then he started skating and lost an edge. And our good friend Al Powers, the photographer, was right there in that little hole there in that area and said he just smashed his head right into the boards. I think he's done it looks like he's done for the series because he was injured coming into the series, right? So, Matthias Janmark, we hope that you feel better. We're going to have a little bit of sportsmanship on this show, at least.
Well, listen, you don't want to see it happen like that. I mean, you don't want to see people get injured in that regard. I mean, it's just unfortunate. But if we cross-check McDavid and he misses a couple of shifts, I'll take it.
Have you ever converted to 7-10?
No, I haven't. No, I've converted the 7-10 without the 7 or 10 there, meaning where I don't know where this even came from, but I've converted the 7-10 split before just without the 7 or the 10 there, where you hit the 10 pin square, and if the 7-10 would have been there, you would have converted it. But no, I've never converted. Where the heck did that come from?
Coming up next, Bruce Cassidy. Is he the better coach in this series? It appeared to be that way. Well, at least he was so far in game 1. We'll get into that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Imbecile.
Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. And Chris, you do have to give a nod to Bruce Cassidy. I thought he did a heck of a coaching job last night, and he's so transparent. And a lot of the things that he said prior to the opening game, they actually executed, and things came true. And we go back to Tuesday and clearing the zone. Don't give them too much time there in the offensive zone. All those things that he said. Try to slow down their entry, into the offensive zone. He said, they skated through. Well, whenever you have Connor McDavid, he sliced through a couple times, but okay, all things considered.
Gonna happen.
And you have to give the nod to Cassidy over Jay Woodcroft. So far in game one, after game one, you felt that he was much better as the coach, and much better in 5 versus 5, 7-10.
You're doing a good job getting me off guard today, Tony. I like it. So the quote that I had last night, I forgot who I was interacting with, and this just kind of came out. And after it came out, I'm like, this is a pretty decent point. So I said basically Edmonton cannot beat VGK in a defensive battle, slow-paced game. Can we get to that point? That's what should be determined. But VGK also showed they could match punch for punch in a high event game. So this is where you look at the coaches, Woodcroft versus Cassidy. Can Woodcroft out-coach, out-adjust, whatever you want to call it, Coach Cassidy in the last, up to the last 6 games of the series here? One of the many things that I did say is that VGK can win or tie the special teams battle for 3 games this series. I don't care how many games the series goes, if they can win or tie. Well, technically they did tie the special teams battle on Wednesday nights when the power plays were 2 goals aside. So basically the special teams were 2-2. Yes, there was an empty net power play goal. I don't care. At the end of the day, VGK tied the Edmonton Oilers special teams in a game. So Woodcroft, what has he done as an NHL coach? I actually want to look up his hockey DB here in a second, but you look at what Cassidy has done. You look at the fact that the Golden Knights are going to improve as the series progresses. Now, slow down a second here. The Edmonton Oilers, for whatever reason, they don't show up in game 1, and the sports books at the end of the day might look like they know what they're doing in the sense that Edmonton was minus 150 and change depending on when and where you made that bet. But game 1 was obviously a pick 'em. Tony, you pointed this out. Now you look at everything. I haven't looked at the game 2 line yet. I'll look at that when you start talking in a second. But the series has only shifted now to Vegas minus 130, Edmonton plus 110. So I did mention this yesterday, folks. You could have got some free money if you felt that VGK would show up in game 1. You could have a plus on both sides, this albeit a small one, but you could be guaranteed a cash out right now if you would have tried to middle of the series, which there is an opportunity right now.
So Woodcroft did not start on the same line, McDavid and Draisaitl. And then when he finally put them, paired together on the top line, then when he finally puts them together, that's when they started to cook. And that's when we saw that Draisaitl goal at the end of the first period with the little trick shot there, with the bank shot that he put in. And the other thing about Woodcroft, he was also saying that he felt that his team on television, when that VGK homer, Linda Cohn, that's also for WTF.
She likes Vegas.
Oh, she loves Vegas. She was wearing like a gold blazer yesterday talking to Connor.
We saw her, yeah.
Okay, in any event. But he felt his team was tentative, shooting the puck, and then he just kept, on them to shoot the puck more often. Well, they also had that drought. I thought, again, defensively, in spurts, the Vegas Golden Knights defended very well against this very potent team that could score so fast. And they didn't really hit their stride or their groove. Good job disrupting things for VGK. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And some background about Jay Woodcroft. If I was better at this, I probably would have done this earlier on, but honestly, I don't care.
The Tonight Show. Yeah.
Woodcroft starts off on the video side with the Red Wings 05 through 08. Assistant with the Sharks from 2008. This is all the way to 2014. Goes to Edmonton as an assistant 2015 for 3 seasons. They give him the head coaching gig with the Bakersfield Condors, and he actually wins the AHL championship with Bakersfield in the 2020-21 season here. So, what does this tell me? This tells me that Woodcroft has done a good job earning, his opportunity. Very reminiscent of what Coach Cassidy did when he did get his opportunity with the Boston Bruins and was with I believe the Providence Bruins, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's who they're called in the AHL. And then obviously went up to the NHL and did his thing with Boston. And now he's here. But Woodcroft, to me, seems like a coach who is ready to take on more of like a rebuild, like a Detroit Red Wings type of team who is going to be ready in the next couple of years, possibly, to make that deep run. The Edmonton Oilers are ready to make that deep run now. And is Woodcroft the guy? I mean, sure, they did a good job promoting from within and all that stuff, fine, whatever. But, can Woodcroft be that guy who's going to get the Oilers to the next level and outcoach a John Cooper, outcoach a Cassidy, outcoach a Paul Maurice, just naming, a few coaches who have been around, a Tortorella. God, if he's ever in a series of Tortorella will freaking undress him as far as just the ability to outcoach him and stuff like that based on the experience. So, we'll see if how that intangible works out and what statements we have as far as what we see different in game 2, because yes, what's coming. Another thing Coach Cassidy mentioned in the postgame was Edmonton hadn't necessarily seen a forecheck in the LA Kings that matches what the Vegas Golden Knights do. And we're going to do the same thing on Saturday. That's our game plan. I'm telling him, Coach Cassidy literally said, this is what our game plan is for Saturday. That's not changing. We're going to be transparent about that. So, but you also know there's other things where Cassidy is, the plan B, plan C, all the way down through plan J. We talked about that, I believe, last week too, where Woodcroft, plan A, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, separate lines. Plan B, get a power play goal. Plan C, put McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line. What do you have in the tank after that? I never say anything about defense or goaltending in there. Never said anything about their bottom 6 contributing. This is where Woodcroft needs to figure something out, because Cassidy is going to say, okay, let's, you're not going to keep Draisaitl and McDavid off the score sheet long, but you can certainly slow them down. There's a lot more weapons to Coach Cassidy in Coach Cassidy's tool belt, if you will, versus what Woodcroft has.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, VGK was the better team at 5v5.
Team. Coach Cassidy even mentioned that, Tony. Did you catch that at the start? Cassidy made a comment that they got a couple really good guys over there, but I liked our team game. That's how Cassidy
he talked a lot about
started.
Team. Yeah, he did.
That's a notable comment right there. That's notable.
Yeah, they're stressing a team concept over 2 players that they feel that they could neutralize if they can just come out even against those 2, Draisaitl and McDavid. Then they feel that they have a better chance to win. But okay, but it wasn't quite 5v5. The line change, it was like 5v3. That empty net goal at the end was 5v6. Okay, never mind. But that was, again, and Cassidy even said, hey, if we could just give up 1 power play opportunity per period against Edmonton, we could be ahead of the game. And they did a pretty good job, at least on that. But man, you were in the arena. I just had to ask you this, because the first power play that, Edmonton went on, you just hear this collective gasp from like the crowd. It's like, oh, no. And they're just so good. They're too good on the power play. The best ever.
I think Dan Duva's call was right on schedule. There's their first power play goal or something like that after Draisaitl scored from the right circle. Shocker. He never, ever does that. I think I said he got his 412th goal of the season via one-timer on the power play or something like
11 goals. Does he have 11 goals?
Cassidy's so much fun. I love Cassidy. I love listening to him. I like talking. I enjoy my interaction with him. I like everything about him. So the one thing leading up to that goal that I didn't necessarily like was the Nick Hague interference penalty that was called. Was it interference by letter of the law? Sure. Was it McDavid, which is probably why it was called? Okay, fine, whatever. But the tweet that I put out there was, if that's interference now, it should be interference the rest of the series. And it wasn't the same type of play, but VGK did get an interference call against the Oilers. Jonathan Marchessault was chasing down a forecheck, and a little pick play, not very noteworthy, but Marchessault got spun a little bit, and they called it, which I think led to the goal. So at least I thought the officiating was fair on both sides of that. So let's not, tear apart the refs too much here. And like you said, right on schedule, boom. And yes, there was a groan. There was it was a Naked Gun 33. Naked
TV.
Gun 33 and a third when they all like hit their head when Leslie Nielsen's character hands the gun to the guy and whatever. But yeah, there's a meme out there for it.
One really bad penalty though at the end of the second period by a veteran in Alex Pietrangelo. And of course, Linda Cohn had the in-between periods conversation with Petro. And,
God, he was the interview?
Yes, and he was.
I didn't catch this.
I mean, he was salty AF. And so he comes out and she asked him straight up about the penalty. Why would you commit a penalty like that or something? And he just like, well, there was a double slash that they missed. And then, they just call like a little penalty. No,
that's a beer league quote. Shut up, Petro. That's a beer league quote. Just shut up.
It was retaliatory, obviously.
Don't put yourself in the spot to get that penalty called.
Well, he's a veteran. He shouldn't be doing that. What is he doing?
Get the number, get him back later.
What are you doing,
the number,
Petro?
get him back
it's like
later.
that time where he jumps into the pile, stupid penalties.
Listen, give him give a face wash.
That guy.
You go in there with your palm, give a face wash. They're not going to call you. You do something with your elbow, you start slashing, you do weird, stupid stuff like that. They might get you. Give him a face wash. The refs will separate you. You go on. Move on.
On this show, I would not even be a second star. That's how bad things are. Coming up tomorrow, it is WTF. It is What the Friday, Chris. And also, we'll talk about game number 2 adjustments. And one of the adjustments is that people had to give up their Friday tickets because there's no game on Friday. And they have to now try to go on Saturday. It's messing up everyone's stinking schedule. And the Disturbed.
That's the bars. We can't go now.
Man. I didn't even know Disturbed was still relevant in Canada. But then again, they like Nickelback.
Did they have to move that concert too?
Yeah, they had to move that concert. It was scheduled for next Wednesday. All sorts of issues. We're going to have a blast tomorrow. Stir up the WTFs. And for those of you that are still tuning in on this show, make sure that you comment. Leave the WTF comments for us because we will read them all on the air and be as salty as you possibly can be. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks for making us your first listen. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.